Welcome back. And we're here with another series. And we just want to deal with the foundation and persons who have paved the way and trailblazers for Bahamian track and field, Bahamian athletics.
True. There you
15,
go.
over 15 years in the sport. And today we're joined by none other than Coach Derrick Atkins. Now, Derrick, just to throw, just to do a little icebreaker, I remember when I first met you as a youngster, I was saying Derrick Atkins. I said, I know people confusing him with the Olympian. Have you
Yeah.
have you got that in your life? I know his name is AD and your name is
Yeah. Oh
AD.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they have a 400 hurdle stats on my I guess World Athletics, saying I ran the 400 hurdles, and I'm like, I've never ran the 400 hurdles in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, definitely had to clarify that. And even just recently, I had a coach reach out to me thinking I was the Derrick Atkins. He lives in New York, and he works at the Armory, and he coaches up there, and
Exactly.
asking me if I was doing any private sessions. I was like, nah, I'm in Utah, the wrong Derrick Atkins.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not a
That's
problem.
cool.
Not a problem.
That's
Okay.
cool. Okay, so Derrick, affectionately known for our viewers and listeners as Peter, as I've grown to know him.
Yeah.
And so we're going to just jump right into it today. And thank you for having the interview with us today. So tell us, Derrick, do you remember how you were introduced to track and field?
I mean, where do I start with that? It's such a loaded question. But for me, I mean, we grew up literally across the street from each other, me and Philippa. For me, running barefoot down
Right.
drive, mark out 100 meters, and that's kind of where we got introduced. A couple of my friends back then, young man is Glenn Rowe. He was a huge multi-sport athlete. And we'd be out about in the streets just running. For me, I was introduced at a very young age, and it just kind of cultivated and developed over time. Working with Bradley Cooper when I was in high school, and for me, it's just kind of evolving, and having those opportunities. I know for me, two of the most influential and most had the most impact me as an athlete and now as a coach is two great coaches. The late legendary Boston Blackie Miller,
Mm.
high
Yep.
school, junior high coach, and if you know anything about Miller can tell you it straight up, and he was definitely instrumental in me becoming a coach, not even just a good athlete, because he was able to inspire and motivate and keep us on the right track in junior high, and then I transitioned to high school in Floyd on Bristol. He was definitely the most motivational person I've ever worked with. If I want to hype talk, I know to go to Bristol. You're gonna get me right. And those two during my journey coming up as an athlete, as a young athlete, and even to professional ranks have definitely been most impactful. Now as a coach, I've evolved, your family life and everything, and no longer an athlete, but now a coach. I have like great mentors like Norbert Elliott at Purdue, and Lonnie Green at Kentucky, fellow Bahamian. Well, definitely put me under their wings, and they're a phone call away. Hey, coach, I need your advice on this. And they've been through the ringers of everything and juggling the juggernaut of collegiate athletics, and dealing with all the stuff that we have to deal with nowadays. Especially now NLI and name, image, and likeness, and people making money off of that, and being able to juggle that with recruiting the right kids for your program and the right fit more than anything else. And as a young coach coming up, and I was blessed to have the opportunity right now. I'm at Dixie State University, soon to be Utah Tech. We'll work there. The name is going to be changed to kind of meet the mission statement of the university.
Okay.
We're program in Southern Utah. Just before we got on, guys are 63 right now, and it's almost December. So we're in the southern part of the state that, we're 2 hours from Vegas, 6 hours from LA, this spot that we're at. And, it's a very beautiful campus, have state-of-the-art facilities and stuff like that. So it's just, for me as a coach, it was just an evolution for me to get here. Moving my family cross country, the missus she wasn't too sure about it, but when we got here, it felt like home, and we continue to grow and get better. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, so,
That is-
no, I just want to touch base. You said you have persons like Bradley Cooper, Boston Blackie, and Floyd and Bristol, just to let people know where in your formative years you met them, which schools you met them at, and then how I transitioned into Dickinson.
So for me, I met Bradley Cooper when I was probably in junior high, early junior, like seventh, eighth grade. Obviously, Boston, he was my junior high coach from 7 to 9. We, did soccer, basketball, not so much basketball. I tried, but it was, you can't shoot. All you got to do is block me from going on the left side of the court, and that's it. I can't do that. But definitely was a multi-sport athlete, softball, volleyball, doing soccer as well, not on track. And then Florida and Bristol was high school, and even from high school on professional, still kept that relationship open, and we still talk. And when I come home and kind of visit and come to school and talk to athletes and stuff like that as well. So that's kind of the timeline for me with those people that are in my lives. And now as a coach, Norbert and Coach Green.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely awesome. And you've talked about where you were in the sport, where the persons that actually inspired you and are still inspiring you in the sport to this day for you to be where you're at. But tell us about the Derrick on the track, the Derrick that made the Olympics, that Derrick. Tell our listeners, how did you got there? Like we said, you had the coaches, you had the inspiration, you had the motivators, but as an athlete, it's physical and it's mental. So tell us how you got there, and to get to the level of where you were in sprinting. I think that's what we need to really put out there, that you were a sprinter. We're used to the 400 meters and hearing the 400 meters. We know of the Andrew Times and the likes and the Irams and whatsoever, but tell us about Derrick on the track. I almost had Peter again.
For me, I mean, it all started with those people that I told you about in high school. And it was a click for me in the 9th grade. I mean, going into the 10th, I love playing volleyball, and I made a decision, what? I'm not going to play anymore. I'm just going to solely focus on track, and then, having the opportunity to come to Dickinson State, which was life-changing, and one of the people that I didn't mention yet is Mr. Harrison Petty, that was instrumental in getting me a scholarship to go to Dickinson State University. And from there, it took off. I was blessed to have been in the right place at the right time. I always tell the kids, like, this generation is a little bit different. Social media rules, like, it's their life. We didn't have that growing up. We had MySpace, and then that just went away, and so forth. Now we get all these different platforms. But what I've learned over my time is, like, having real relationships with, I was able to be blessed to go with my best friend, Aaron Claire, Dickinson. And speaking about Dickinson in itself, I mean, a little school in Dickinson, North Dakota, of all places. I didn't know where it was. I had to Google it. Back then, we had that old school computer with the dial-up. So I had to Google what it was, Yahoo or Ask Jeeves, I think it was back then. Where was Dickinson, and then look it up. Never seen snow before. And first day of snow, it became like 2 a.m. Mind you, we still jet lag. We're still on East Coast time. That's mountain time, We out there in it, enjoying it, and Dickinson has produced 5 Olympians.
Yeah.
Think about that. Little IA. This ain't Division 1. This ain't Division 2. IA school have produced 5 Olympians. Myself, Claire, Trevor Barry, Adrian Griffith, and Ramon.
Yes, Ramon, that's right.
Tonight, like, come on, like, in this one little pocket, and we all were there at the same time.
Sean too, right? Sean didn't make it.
Yes, I forgot to mention Sean. Sean was on the world team for indoors as well. So it's just 5 Olympians and world class athletes within that small window, and countless medals as well. And those people are having that nucleus. Like, they're people like, what y'all drinking up there at Dickinson? And others came after that. And when I say others, that not just in the track arena, they're doing great things in their life. Like Snicker, Jamal Forbes, have his own entertainment, Hype Boys entertainment company. We have Cordell Barnaby, who's one of our now sports therapists. About rehabilitation. And then we have Harrison Thomas, who's one of the in the Bahamas. We always seem like it's our world. like the world doesn't matter, so for us is a big thing, and he's a therapist, and like those are people that came through Dickinson. Those people are like trailblazed, like literally we started it, but it didn't end there. And I hope that it continues to go on even when we're long gone. The legacy that we have built, just with us starting there back in 2001. I remember that fresh off the plane, 17 years old, just graduated college, didn't know nothing. Left the Bahamas like twice before that. And then fly all the way to Dickinson, North Dakota. Yes. But being there and having Coach Stanton and Coach Leno, those two coaches, and having a support staff, the support that you need outside of your family, that's far away to be, and I'm able to cultivate relationships with my teammates and having those ties there help groom who I was as an athlete. That's just the other side of not just the track, because I can't separate. For me, I don't separate. I can't separate either. Family. They came together in one. And being a Dickinson, it wasn't a flashiest school. We didn't have a state-of-the-art facility. I mean, we was out there shoveling snow for 200 meters, and we out there getting it in. This is, mind you, this ain't organized practice. This is us as athletes coming together and say, hey, we want to put this work in. We got to make lemonade out of lemons and work. And that's, nowadays everybody wants it instant gratification and all this. You don't want to put the work in, but they say, don't tell me about the labor pain, show me the baby. For me, it's just you got to put the foundation in. You got to grind, and it helps. I mean, I wasn't always the best athlete as a junior. Man, I remember going to Carifta back in 2001. I got hot last. Like it was. I mean, for me, we were down in Grenada. That was before Bo came on the scene and before everybody else. I had my nemesis was Dow Brown from Trinidad, and you got Randy Martina. Finally got them when I was a senior. I didn't get them as a junior, but in the professional ranks, got them. Right. But I remember, getting last, and I'm sitting here like, wait, this is it? Like I can it's just going back home. It's just like, bro, I got to work harder. I got to be more disciplined. I got to put that time in. I got to be a student of my sport. Any advice I can give any young person: be a student of your sport.
Very exciting.
Go up, check the box, go home. You're gonna check the box. You're gonna check your box right out of the sport and not see the results that you want. And for me as a coach now, it's so dynamic dealing with the different generational kids and the motivation and stuff, and thinking, man, boy, if I had a coach like me, man, I would have been more than just a silver medalist. I'd have been more regular. I was just thinking in my head. Granted, I mean, things happen. That's life. I'm just saying, like, but if I had a coach like me that knows what I know and can be able to articulate it and get me motivated and keep me motivated and put me in the right positions to be successful. I mean, granted, I had those things, but to the extent that when now I'm as a coach, my knowledge is way different than when I was an athlete. But it was still high. I like to consider myself a high track IQ kind of. I did the right things off the track. I researched, made sure that I was taking care of my body. Most important thing. Best ability is availability. If you ain't able to train, you ain't getting no better.
But let's stick a pin in it right there. Now, in looking at your highest achievement for Bahamian male in 100 meters, World Olympics, silver medalist at the World Champs. You have your cousin, Asafa Powell. You're related, right?
Yes, we're a second cousin.
Second cousin, Asafa Powell, and then you have Tyson Gay. We all know what Asafa Powell, how much sub-10s he went, and for his career, and then we have Tyson Gay. Take us through that race and take us what you were thinking, who was in your corner, because I know being on them Bahamas teams and stuff like that is all about who you have guiding you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it all started with taking that, packing my car up and moving from North Dakota and making that transition to being a professional athlete. At that point, I didn't even finish school. Like a lot of people didn't know that. I didn't finish my degree. I literally looked at it like this. I had one semester left, but I knew if I was going to be on the podium, that I had to start the foundation from October, fall. So that summer, I would say probably August, I drove down from Florida, from North Dakota to Florida, you know, and sacrificed that graduation because I don't want to put that education that was the main reason why I came off to school. And it blessed me the opportunity. Track just kind of springboard, and it was like a bonus. I was icing on the cake, you know, being in the Hall of Fame, being national champ and all that stuff. But having that degree and having something to fall back on was the ultimate reason, you know, why I went to school. I didn't finish school at that point. So went down to Gainesville, working with great coach Mike Holloway. You know, he's definitely instrumental in my ability to be the world silver medalist and running those sub-10s and having the national record that it is now, you know, with that. And I remember going down there, and I remember one of my good friends, Rodney Green, I was like, hey, wait, I can medal next year. I know what color I gonna get, but I can medal. And he reminds me every time we talk. But remember when you came out Thanksgiving, he told me that? I was like, yeah, I remember that, but yeah, you know, playing it off. But for me, it was just knowing my abilities and knowing that having the right coach at that time in my life, I was gonna medal, you know. So fast forward, season was going great, open up in April, #1 time in the world, sub-10, first time breaking the national, I wouldn't say first time because I broke the national record the year before when I ran 10:08 at CACs. I got second to Rick Randy. But anyway, people don't. Those who know what I'm talking about, and those others like, I don't know, you know. So first sub-10, I remember on cloud 9, like what? You know, because back then sub-10 was a big thing. Like running 10 over fast, 10 flat was, you know, sub-10 was like you in the elite epsilon, like you in the top, the 1% of the 1% in the world. I remember in April, you know, running that, and I'm just like, man, I'm tired, you know. But I was like, hey, don't get complacent, you know, because when anybody who runs personal best that fast or in any event in track and field, your body, you just stretch your fibers to a whole nother level. So that next 2 weeks, I was just so tired and sore. I'm like, coach, what is going on? You know, he's like, hey, this is just what happens. Body's gonna acclimatize and you're gonna get okay. You know, for me, I was like, I still got to put this work in. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be on the podium. You know, he's like, calm down. I got you. Let me ride the train. Let me be the conductor. You just be the passenger on this train. I was like, all right, coach. All right, whatever you say, I got you. You know, and then the season was going good, up and down. Yet the part that I remember the most about that season, he wasn't even the medal. Is I kept getting second. Like literally, I raced Asafa, second. Race Tyson, second. Race Tyson again, second. I'm sitting here like, damn. Right, I got it. But at that point, in my mind, I'm like, we're like what, 6 weeks out from the World Championships? I'm saying, but I can't get second again. I got it. This time, my expectations were from just being on the podium to being on top of the podium. You know, because I've seen the results and I've seen the work that I put in, and it's there. You know, and going through that, I was just like, you know, had a slight injury that season as well. Coming back home, it's funny. My whole career, the most stressful race or place I've ever raced in my life was home.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
Why do you think of that?
I don't know. It's just something about being home and just like the expectations and just like the pressure, I guess, in itself. You know, even though I was still the best.
Right?
For me, it still was pressure. You know, even though I know it's gonna win, but it was still like, but I gotta win. Like, you know, it's a whole different level. I go into the World Championship. I'm like, bruh. When I made it to the final, I was just like, I was so relaxed. It is what it is. The cat's in the bag. Just go out there, execute, and run. You know, it was one of those emotions that it's hard to explain, only unless you've been there before, when you really set your mind to a goal and then you accomplish that goal. And then you realize that like that journey, even though people are with you with that journey, they don't truly understand that journey itself, because it's something that motivates you. And all the great athletes have that. You know, if you listen to if you read the Kobe book, you know, listen to Michael Jordan talk, you know, these are things that are innate to championship athletes. This is the characteristic that I should do a thesis and do my doctoral on that, but for another time.
Hey.
On what it truly takes to be great, you know. And a lot of people say they want to be great, but it's that internal motivation and that drive. Like nothing else can give you that. Like no extra, oh well, I just want to be great so I can get fame and recognition and money and all that. I'm like, that's a byproduct of being great. You know, you gotta internally want that, you know. And when I won my medal, it was kind of like, it was like a sign of relief, but a sign of like I'm on the mountaintop and like, damn, nobody else understands this. Like it felt lonely, to be honest. Like I felt like alone when I won what I did. Because nobody knew about like that truly know that journey that I took to get there and the sacrifices that I had to take to get to that point. And that's why one of my acronyms that I continue to use now, even for back in college, is DASH. DASH. My son's name is Dash. He's Derrick Jr. the third.
Yeah, exactly.
We call him Dash. Determination, ambition, sacrifice, and hard work. And that acronym has stayed with me ever since I was a freshman in college. And I just kept like, whenever I feel like I can't make it or whatever the case may be, or that I just look at that acronym and just, hey, refocus, you know, let's get retool, let's stay on track. Don't get big, don't get too far ahead of yourself with that. So for me, I mean, doing what I've done is great, you know, being in the Hall of Fame, national record holder right now for 17 years, or not 17, 14 years running. And the funny thing is I set that record and probably the kids coming up now that don't even remember who I am, you know, and it's kind of hard when you're not in the public eye as frequently as you are when you're an athlete. When Shawnee and Stevie retired at some point, you know, oh my gosh, that was, shout out to those two individuals. They really, it felt like I won the medal. Like literally, that's how, like, you know, people be like, yeah, I feel like, no, like when you're an athlete and you've been to that mountaintop and you it's like, I was like, man, I know, I just know that their journey was something in this that only them could really explain. And I know that feeling of that journey that they took to get to that point. You know,
Good
sorry
stuff.
to sidetrack with that, but for me, it's definitely one of those, for me, I mean, to say the highest point, yes, great having the national record, but, you know, for me in the sport of track and field, you know, being able to influence the people that I've come across during my journey as even from being in high school all the way, you know, till now, you know, people that I've helped on the way on their own journey and their own personal journeys, and any advice I can give, I definitely will. It's free of charge. I charge you for nothing, you know. And there's a lot of knowledge that I've gained over the years that I'm willing to, hey, here it is. You can chew it up, spit out, and take, you know, chew what you can swallow and spit out what you can't. So for me, it's
happy to have this chat. Happy. And so let's give us that acronym again. It's DASH. We know your son is named Dash. You said determination, ambition,
sacrifice, and hard work, even though it's
sacrifice and hard work.
Yeah.
And that is the acronym of Derrick Atkins.
Yes.
What is a wonderful conversation with you today. I know I've learned a lot. We've even more than, you know, that I would have known as you growing up. But even then, you know, it's exciting to know we've had a conversation with Ramon, and then there are others who have spoken. It's so happy, and it's a great thing to hear the same people influencing a lot of athletes. And Cash, I don't know if you've noticed that, but the Bradley Coopers, the Floyd Embristers, so far, you know, we've heard athletes talk about them and what they have done in their lives, in their journey. And that's very, very, to me, very important in our Bahamian journey, and to watch our athletes like yourself exceed now from the track, our national record 100-meter holder in the Bahamas, and now out there coaching in the NCAA. You know, that is a great achievement. And we're so proud of you, Peter. So I don't know about you, Demarius.
Yeah, and that's why we created the show, to give you your flowers, and so people can understand your legacy in terms of what you brought to the sport in Bahamian track and field athletics. Yeah. And so, just give people what you're doing now in terms of you know, in the sport. I know you said you had university now that's going to become Utah Tech. So just give us a rundown of that, and do you have any Bahamians up there?
No, I ain't got none yet. You know, I got to steal them away from Coach Green and Coach. You know, they got the lock on the Bahamas. I'm like, yeah, give me one or two. You know, now Levan doing his thing too, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Connection, you know, with it's a small world, and our track Bahamian bubble is very small as well. You know, Debbie's with Coach Green. I talked to Debbie, you know, checking in with her and stuff like that. So for me, right now, I'm a head coach at Dixie State, soon to be Utah Tech University, in southern Utah. So if you're a Bahamian, don't worry. There ain't no cold here. You ain't got to shovel no snow. Ain't none of that going on. It's pretty warm.
Come on over.
We're D1 program in the WAC, Western Athletic Conference. Right now, there's 13 schools in the WAC. So we are women's only. That's the only caveat.
Okay.
You know, we don't have a men's team right now. We won't have one. It's just a women's program only. And I coach sprints, hurdles, and jumps right now. We're along with my assistants. I have a throws assistant, and I also have a distance assistant as well. You know, and we're just trying to grow the program. You know, trying to get the brand out there, trying to get the recognition. But for me as a head coach, you know, my three top priorities, and this is the order that I tell every recruit that I speak with, every parent that I speak with. You know, number one is graduation. I want you to graduate. You ain't gonna do that. You know, great if you be Olympian. Like, I didn't set out to be an Olympian. I didn't set out to be a world medalist. I knew that I had the opportunity to get a degree first and foremost. You know, went back after the fact. Now I have my master's as well. So everybody know, I graduated from Dickinson. I am
That's
on that.
right. You went back and you finished.
I also have my degree as well. And second is personal growth and development. I think that was very instrumental for me as a kid coming from the Bahamas, going to Dickinson, rural North Dakota, and being able to interact with different people from different walks of life and so forth like that, and help with my personal growth. You know, so once again, as a coach now, definitely want that kind of impact on the athletes that come through my program. And three, I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy being a part of the team and enjoy being a part of being a trailblazer. And like I said, everybody's journey is different, and I understand that. But I want you to enjoy it. Like, that's one of the things that I regret the most. If I look back on my career, I didn't truly enjoy being a professional athlete. It was fun for a while, and then it just became a job. It came.
Yeah.
And what year, before we leave, what year were you installed into the Hall of Fame?
In the NAIA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was 2013, and then I was inducted in 2016 or 17 in Dickinson Hall of Fame.
You have to let people know these things. We got to know these things.
I know.
Congratulations. No, we know of it, but I'm talking with sharing with our listeners.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but the listeners. In 2007 was your silver medal in the world jumps.
Yeah, and I made some world teams after that, and I made the Olympic in 2008.
That's right.
Took that for granted. That's another story if y'all had time. And then 2012, you know, I really that Olympic for me really meant a lot, because that journey to get there was a road that I would tell anybody else, don't go that way. Just to get there. But nevertheless, you know, for me as a coach and being an athlete, I tell the kids, enjoy the moment, enjoy the process. Get in love with the process.
Yeah.
The results. Get in love with the process. That's ultimately awesome. That anybody get in love the process. Don't worry about the results. You know, they will happen. So,
and we thank you today. And
I got one more thing.
People use this video for the entirety and look at it and get some takeaways on it.
Yeah. Yes, one more thing, Cash. One more thing.
I just want a special thanks to some people that are very instrumental. I know I spoke with about a few people.
Yes.
But you know, my parents, you know, they didn't come together to make me be here.
Yeah. Most definitely.
My dad's senior, I'm junior, my son is the third. My mom, you know, she's the most thankful and warm person that I've, you know.
Awesome.
Yes, mom, but everybody that talk about my mom says the exact same thing, you know. That, you know, Mr. Harrison Petty, I mean, he didn't give me the opportunity. If I didn't get the opportunity to go to Dickinson, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all right now about me, you know. Florida and Bristol, Boston Blackie Miller. Those two were very instrumental for me as coaches. Coach Stanton, Dickinson, Coach Leno at Dickinson. My best friend Aaron Clare. Y'all should interview him at some point. Just talk about his journey. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame as well. NAI and Dickinson. He was on the Olympic team. He's NAI 4-time national champ in the 400 meters. Kind of one of those kids, the first kids to break through the a lot of people don't know that, in our generation. So we talk about from 2000 to about maybe 2007, 8.
Yeah, 8, like 2009. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my mentors, Coach Elliott, Coach Green, Dr. Bartlett, the man that kept me together, when I was banged up and hurt.
Everybody.
And then one, and last but not least, Mr. Darryl Miller, my biggest media critic, Mr. Darryl.
He was just at church today with me.
Shout out to him, because boy, I tell you, a lesser man would have took what he took and just went and crawled under the rock. But what he wrote about me after the 2005 World Championships, kind of really, it didn't necessarily, it just gave me more fuel, I wasn't the best me that was out there, but he did not care. He just went in. Y'all need to go find an article. Boy, he went in on me. But it was definitely original motivation for me to keep going, instead of me shying away and be like,
right.
Go back to the drawing board. I got to work. I got to get better.
Yeah.
But that speaks to your positive attitude, though. You take, like you say, take lemons and you make lemonade.
Exactly.
You can't let, if you have goals, you set those goals, and you can't let things distract you from them. And it's that simple in life, and that's what we try to encourage in the younger people, as our parents did with us as well. You really have to not be discouraged when people try to knock you down. You just have to keep getting up and pushing, because your goal, and sometimes your real gold and real prize, is right there. So it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Derrick, and Peter, as I affectionately know you. And it's been a pleasure and love to see how well you've done. And like you said, your mother, your parents, they did well. And I'm so proud to have this interview with you today and with Demarius, and to get to know you to where you are today. So continue doing well, and congratulations again.
Congrats.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Peter.